started from below. Through the ashes, started from the dirt, running from the cold. Drawn to fire, love when it burns. When it all comes down to destiny, only you can bend the rules. Want that road. Through the ashes, down from the dirt. They're calling out, calling out, calling out. When the skies are falling, hear the heroes calling. Can't hold us down, can't hold us down. Save the ones still crawling, hit me falling. Can't hold us down, can't hold us down. Can you hear them calling out, calling out, calling out? Can you hear them calling out, calling out? Heroes are calling. Heroes are calling. Heroes are calling.
If it's Tuesday, that means it's the Apex Energy Summer Series presented by Boone Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram from Slingshot Racing League. Welcome everybody, it's Ellis Thomas here alongside Chris Smith in the booth tonight. We're bringing you live racing action in the NASCAR Gen 6 cars from Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Apex Energy 175. The mile-and-a-half track Atlanta was opened in 1960, and according to the most of the work on the $1.8 million project was done at a breakneck pace within weeks of opening day. On July 31st, 1960, 25,000 people turned out for the first race, the Dixie 300. Then legend Fireball Roberts won that first race, and many other household names like Labonte and Gordon have also visited Victory Lane at Atlanta over the years. The Speedway has also hosted more than just races. 6 weeks before Woodstock, on July 4th and 5th in 1969, more than 100,000 people, who didn't look much like stock car fans, journeyed to the track for the Atlanta International Pop Festival, which hosted artists like Led Zeppelin, Janis Joplin, and Creedence Clearwater Revival. Dale Earnhardt reigned supreme at Atlanta Motor Speedway with a record-breaking 9 Cup wins. His dominance surpasses racing legends like Carol Yarbrough and Bobby Labonte. However, a near-fatal crash in 1976 almost cut his career short, but he ultimately returned to win a Cup championship. In 1997, the track was reconfigured to include a dogleg like SMI's other 1.5-mile tracks. And just in 2022, the track was reprofiled with more banking to produce more exciting races, akin to Talladega or Daytona. Not tonight, though. Tonight we go back to the old Atlanta, which we're going to talk about here shortly. Chris, fun fact for the night. There's a spot just beyond the track where an old church cemetery sits in a grassy field. Its tombstone's a stoic counterpoint to the energy intensity that lies inside AMS. These Apex Energy Summer Series cars and drivers are hoping that they don't end up at the graveyard at the end of the night. What are these drivers going to have to do to avoid that fate?
One of the biggest stories we're going to be paying attention to all night are the tires. Tire wear and Atlanta Motor Speedway, those things just go hand in hand, at least this version of Atlanta Motor Speedway, which most people think is the supreme version of Atlanta Motor Speedway, myself included. Tonight, you can expect these drivers to be able to make 60 laps, roughly 60 laps on a tank of fuel, so at least one stop in this 114-lap race, but I suspect that tires are going to be more important than fuel tonight, so I think we're going to see more than one stop out of these drivers tonight who have that extra set of tires in the pits. About 25 cars here tonight, so a pretty decent sized field, and right down there, that's going to be the big story tonight. High tire degradation expected all night tonight.
Chris, you mentioned the tires being a story we're going to follow. We are going to talk about a few more stories to set up the race for our loyal viewers here on YouTube. Shout out to everyone in the chat right now. Don, Shane Coker, Southern Broadcast Gaming Network, John Rapp, Chris DeWeese. We'll talk about a giveaway we're going to do here shortly, but before all of that, let's get to one of your favorite pre-race traditions, the playing of the national anthem. Everybody, if able, rise and remove your caps. We'll be back on the other end of the anthem. Welcome back here to Atlanta Motor Speedway, getting ready for 175 miles race 7 of 8 of the Apex Energy Summer Series presented by Boone CDJR. Ellis Thomas and Chris Smith in the booth, just a couple of minutes away before we get underway here tonight. We got some stories, as always, to set the race up for our viewers so you can follow along at home and kind of have some things to keep an eye on throughout the race. And let's go ahead and hit up those stories to follow, Chris. Points are one of the big ones with just 2 races left in this season. We're going to crown one last champion for Slingshot Racing League, and it is tight up at the top of the board. Just 7 points separate the top 2, 20 points back to third place Randy Bechtel. Really going to look like it's going to come down to 3 or 4 drivers this season in these final 2 races, Chris. 7 points back. Braxton DeWeese needs to make up some ground tonight if he's going to go into Homestead next week with any sort of chance.
Yeah, he's sitting there. He's pretty close. I mean, I think that you don't want to get too carried away tonight. Just making up 3 or 4 points goes a long way. Just getting as close as you can next week at Homestead. But he has definitely got a task ahead of him. And some really tough competition in Aaron Smith. Randy Bechtel just 20 points back, so I think he needs a little bit of misfortune from both of those drivers ahead of him tonight to sort of put himself in a position for next week.
Yeah, and Chris, what's got Braxton DeWeese and Randy Bechtel really in this situation in the first place is a winless streak of 4 races for Aaron Smith. He started off the season with 2 wins in a row, looking like he was going to be the championship favorite, but he really hasn't found that winning form in the past month or so. So we're going to be looking to see if he can get that back on track tonight. He's got a fast hot rod underneath him, so we'll be keeping an eye on driver number 70 in that bright yellow car. It's not going to be hard to miss him. It's going to be hard to miss him, I should say. Third story, tires, Chris. Out of all the tracks that we race in Slingshot Racing League, Atlanta, as you mentioned earlier, is probably the one to eat up the tires the fastest and the most. Why is that?
It's just, a really, really old surface. And also, just think about the shape of this track. If you look at it overhead, like you compare it to like Texas and Charlotte, they do look similar. But the straightaways on this track are not very long. You just spend so much time in the corner on this D-shaped oval compared to some other ones. And I think that, that along with just the high speeds that you carry down in the corner, it's sort of like, all the elements that, get added together there create that high tire wear that you see here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And I think that we lost Ellis right there. And so we'll go ahead and look at the fourth story right there. Race the track. You definitely want to try to keep in mind anything that could go wrong on this track here. And you don't want to get carried away with trying to race your competitors here tonight. This is sort of like a Darlington style race in a way compared to, a typical mile and a half that you might see. So, you definitely want to race the track. And I think Ellis is back.
I think, I'm on my phone right now. We had a couple of power outages, but things are getting back up underway here. I'm going to do my best to get back on in just a moment. I can't promise that I won't drop off at any point, but Chris, you talked about racing the track. Drivers really going to be, especially as the run goes on, you got to focus on your own race. Last thing we want to mention these pre-race stories is the Apex Energy Flavor Fight. You still got a chance. Go to slingshotracing.org or scan the QR code on the screen, and you could potentially win $50 cash at the end of the season. We'll do the drawing after the race next week. Another opportunity for a giveaway we're doing tonight is going to be a free 1/64th scale Chase Elliott Kelly Blue Book diecast car. All you have to do is say hi in the chat, and we're going to draw one lucky winner at the end of this thing.
Yeah, and that's a great opportunity right there to possibly get that diecast. And we'll be watching this flavor fight out here tonight, including one of our Slingshot regulars here has got some colors representing the grape flavor tonight. We'll make sure that we take a look at Johnny Rapp and his Apex Energy Grape Chevrolet here in just a little bit. But that's going to be the checkered flag on the warm-up session. So we are going to get this field all gridded up right here, and we're going to take a look at the starting lineup here. And as the cars grid up right here on the front stretch, our pole sitter tonight It's going to be the number 81, Scotty Sobczak, with a great qualifying lap, 30.914. His teammate, our points leader, placeholder racing teammate, starts on the outside of the front row. That's going to be Aaron Smith. Row 2, we've got Jacob Bradley making his return to the Slingshot Racing League here for these final few races of this final season of Slingshot Racing League, alongside Patrick Pieper with a great qualifying run in that Costco Ford. And starting on the inside of row 3, we got Justin Wilson. And on his outside, his Payday Racing teammate, Randy Bechtel. Randy looking to make up some points tonight, our third place points driver. And starting on the inside of row 4, we got Samuel Stoner. And on the outside, Braxton DeWeese, number 2 point man, looking to try to charge his way up through the field here early on. Inside of row 5, we've got Rye Jones starting 9th, and Josh Ward in that Boone CDJR car starting in the 10th spot. 11th, you got Johnny Rapp, and I mentioned those Apex Energy grape colors that he's running tonight. That's a sharp-looking Chevrolet. And to his outside, you got Brandon Ayers in that 16 car. Sean Johnson's going to start 13th alongside Matt Kuntz in 14th. Shane Coger going to start 15th alongside Landon Cardulo in 16th. Derek Fike starting 17th alongside Richard Hurst in that 22 and 18th. Steve Vest going to start 19th along Chase Berry, coming from the back of the field in the 20th spot. James Danforth also coming from the rear of the field, going to start 21st. Nick DeCesare 22nd in the 00. Alex Harper is going to start 23rd. 24th will be Paul Thomas, and Gabe Rogers will round out the field tonight.
We're still working on getting these this computer back up and running. As soon as I got it up a second ago, the power kind of shut down just one more time. So I'm still here. I'm still listening. I'm going to be back as soon as possible, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to hand off the call at the start of the race to you.
That's quite all right. If anything, I learned last week that how tough of a job that is. Try to do that, but you did a great job last week, so we'll just try to make it through this week again right here. These drivers are going to do another pace lap right here, and if you're a driver up here at the front of this field, obviously you want to try to get a pretty good launch right here. Sometimes starts, restarts at Atlanta Motor Speedway can be a little bit tricky. This old wore out surface is not the most ideal for putting the throttle down, so sometimes you see cars spin their tires. We weren't seeing a lot of cars loose on corner entry or corner exit in practice, maybe compared to some other NASCAR vehicles. So I don't think you'll see too many drivers wearing the right rear out, but I think they're going to be wearing that right front out. It seems that there's a lot of pressure put on that right front, a lot of heat generated in that right front, so we'll be watching that, and we'll be paying attention to that all night, but we're going to try to watch some tire spin maybe here on the initial start and make sure these drivers don't have too big of a stack-up effect here on this restart. We mentioned Scotty Sobczak getting the pole, and Aaron Smith to his outside right here. Big opportunity right here for Aaron Smith to jump out there and lead a lap early on, as we see a little bit of a connection issue out of him. Jump out there early on to try to get a point for leading a lap. That'll be super, super important for him and his championship hopes, as these drivers are going to navigate one more time around here at caution speed. And if you are Braxton DeWeese starting back there in the 8th spot, not a bad qualifying effort out of Braxton at all, but you are a really, really big Scotty Sobczak fan on this start. You want to make sure that Scotty Sobczak gets out there. You want to try to limit the amount of points that Aaron Smith is able to accumulate tonight. Randy Bechtel the exact same way. You want to try to do everything you can to try to limit his possible points. So that includes there's one bonus point off the table with Scotty Sobczak getting the pole, but there's still the possibility of the fastest lap points, and there's also the possibility of, leading a lap and leading the most laps. So those guys want to try to, snatch that away from Aaron if they possibly can. Drivers are going to navigate through turns 3 and 4 for the final time right here. And we believe the pace car will be making that turn off the racetrack and onto pit road this time by. There it is, and that's going to put the field in the hands of Scotty Sobczak, our pole sitter. Green flag is out. Sobzak gets a good launch right here. Aaron Smith also gets a good launch. And they're going to drag race down here into turn 1. Sobzak is looking like he's going to clear Aaron Smith here off turn 2. Here comes Jacob Bradley. Haven't seen too much of Bradley this season in Slingshot Racing League, but here he is. And he's going to make a challenge for the lead going down into turn 3. Put Bradley out in front of Sobzak. Meanwhile, back behind these two battling for the lead, we have got a heck of a battle going on. 3 wide, I saw back here between Sam Stoner, Braxton DeWeese, and Randy Bechtel. That's going to get settled out just a little bit here. Meanwhile, I think that we've got a challenge for the lead. Scotty Sobzak's going to go up to the top. Look at the momentum Sobzak was able to use up there on that top lane. That's going to be another story all night. What lane do you decide to run? And you can see the speed in the top right there. Now, don't think that you can stay up there too long without wearing those tires out, but you might possibly be able to use that later on. Sobzak and Bradley with a good little breakaway here from Justin Wilson. Wilson looks in his mirror and he sees a battle going on behind him. Looks like Patrick Pieper is going to take that 4th spot away from Aaron Smith. Pieper going to look to the outside now. Going to try to roll that middle lane. Going to take that hot dog machine on past Justin Wilson.
Did someone say hot dogs?
Oh, there he is. He's back.
I am back. My computer is back up. The internet is back up for the time being. I'm going to be back in the sim and have a good view of everything in just a minute, everyone. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for bearing with us through the technical difficulties. And thank you, Chris, for making it look easy those first couple of laps as we take the green flag here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Now 4 laps in the book at this point. Clean and green so far. Drivers having a good run up at the front of the race right now. Scotty Sobzak still credited as your leader, but Jacob Bradley and Patrick Pieper, they haven't lost sight of him in the top 3 so far. The top 4, 5 single file, but it's 2 wide right behind them as they race off down into turn number 3.
Yeah, and you got Randy Bechtel up there on the top right here. He was behind Justin Wilson earlier. He's going to try to... Yeah, I think that Brady Bechtel knows that he's got to get after it tonight. He's got to do everything he can to be aggressive and try to race Aaron Smith and Braxton DeWeese as hard as he can. And he's doing that right now. Aaron Smith is not credited with the lap lane, so he has not grabbed a bonus point yet.
Yeah, and speaking of getting after it, Jacob Bradley is the new leader in town, P1. Number 50 goes to the front, down into turn 1 and 2. They're now in turns 3 and 4, getting ready to come back onto the front straightaway, hit that dog leg. Bradley pulls it out to about a 4-car length lead on Sobzak and Pieper, who's now in 3rd, with Braxton DeWeese up to 4th position.
Yeah, great start by these drivers. This isn't the typical Atlanta Motor Speedway race. These guys are staying really bunched up. I don't think it will stay that way, Ellis. I think that there's enough tire wear here tonight where I think that you're going to see a lot of separation in the field, but it's still really close, and that just speaks to this lower horsepower, high drag package on these Gen 6 stock cars.
Yeah, and right now, that's what makes this so intense as we watch Braxton DeWeese duck low to the inside of Patrick Pieper down into turn 1. DeWeese mashes that throttle, gets back into it on the exit of turn number 2. He's inside of Pieper looking for 3rd place. Pieper doing everything he can to defend that to the outside. Chris, DeWeese is really taking a risk here because if he gets kind of freight trained on the inside, Bechtel's next in line to try to use that outside line, but it looks like he's going to avoid that near miss with Patrick Pieper on the exit turn number 4 there. You could stick a ruler in between those cars. That's how close they were. But speaking of close, Scotty Sobzak hasn't lost contact. He's gotten back up to the back bumper of Jacob Bradley there on the exit of turns 3 and 4. Now they head down the back straightaway. That lead opens up just a little bit more once again. DeWeese up to 3rd, though, cleanly in front of Pieper this time by into 3.
Yeah, and I think he's looking to get around Scotty Sobzak as quickly as he can. If he can, back behind them, we've got Randy Bechtel rolling that middle lane to the outside of Patrick Pieper, looking to take that 4th spot away from the driver of the 15.
Yeah, Bechtel to the outside. We've seen that outside line have some speed. We've seen Bechtel working that much of the early goings of this race. Now 10 laps into 114 of the Apex Energy, 175. Bechtel channels that speed into a nice run down the backstretch. Looks like he thought about trying to channel that into a pass on Braxton DeWeese. He might try it better yet on the exit of turn number 4. Bechtel's going to have a run if he's going to make it up to third position. DeWeese closes the door across the front straightaway. He'll have to wait till turn 1 if he's going to make that pass on DeWeese for third position.
Oh man, look at Bechtel driving it on the outside. Patrick Pieper even higher than him. I think Bechtel's going to get to the right rear. He definitely is on DeWeese.
Yeah, DeWeese was hoping to avoid that because Bechtel's been so fast on the outside, but Bechtel makes that pass cleanly, Chris, and the guy who's in third place in points, who needed to pick up a bunch of ground tonight, Chris, he's closed the gap about 9 points on Aaron Smith, bringing him to within 11. So Randy Bechtel looking to make this a 3-dog fight at the championship finale in Homestead next week. He's going for second as we watch Rye Jones right behind slide up the track even more, trying to draw a lead on Patrick Pieper on the exit of turn number 2. He's got Justin Wilson hot on his heels. Single file, Chris, right now all the way back to about the 12th position. I should say, yeah, the 11th position. Johnny Rapp's got a great battle going on with Brandon Ayers in the 16. Rapp slides up the track just a little bit. He's going to have to play defense against Cardulo behind them. Richard Hurst and Sean Johnson have a near scrum and a near crash, but both of those drivers gather it back up and they race off into turn number 1.
Yeah, great looking paint scheme on that 52 tonight. Really shows out on the track right here as Rapp and Cardulo going at it. Cardulo going to the inside of Ayers. He's going to look to take that 11th spot.
Yeah, Ayers really stuck right up on the top right now, doing a good job. Cardulo looking to pick up 2 spots in as many laps, though. Gets by Bechtel, now looking to the inside of Brandon Ayers. Chris, Cardulo is one of those guys he's had a lot of speed all season long in the first 6 races, but he just hasn't really been able to walk away with the finishes, I think, that the speed has shown he's capable of. So we'll be looking to see if he can continue to kind of march through the field and work his way into the top 10, see if he can walk away with a good finish tonight with the speed that he's showing early right now. He's got Sean Johnson, James Danforth in his mirror. James Danforth, Chris, up 6 positions on the night. He's the biggest mover so far, and we've become accustomed to seeing that 88 roll by cars early in the race after starting near the back of the pack. Easier said than done, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's going for that hard charger award, and he is he's definitely making a lot of ground up here early on as we got a battle up here. Looks like between Rye Jones and Patrick Pieper. Jones going to get around Pieper right here. Oh, and that 15 car sliding up. Yeah, I think that we're starting to see 15 laps into the race right here. I think we're starting to see a little bit of right front wear on that 15, maybe on some other cars as well.
Yeah, I think you are absolutely right. We saw Pieper pushing the envelope early with a lot of speed, and it's come at a cost. He shifts up to the high line this time by, and I don't know if that was by choice or the car took him up there on those tires, Chris. We mentioned in the pre-race that this is like a cheese grater-like surface. Imagine a piece of cheese rubbing across a metal cheese grater, just destroying the surface of that cheese. In this situation, the track is the cheese grater, that asphalt, and the tire is the cheese, and you're seeing that kind of play out as drivers kind of begin to wash up the track as they're just losing grip right now.
Yeah, meanwhile, while we were talking about that, we got a change for the lead right here. Randy Bechtel utilized that top lane off of turn 4.
So fast. Jacob Bradley makes the move back to the outside. Bechtel, an unfamiliar territory here on the inside, Chris. As you had mentioned, he'd been working that outside for a while.
Yeah, he had, and he just got bogged down a little bit there on the bottom. I think the car maybe was a little bit tighter. Picked up a little bit of a push right there, and DeWeese was able to keep his momentum up and was able to get back around him right there. Bradley able to get back around him as well, as Randy's going to have to get back after it. Right here is Braxton DeWeese trying to poke that left front underneath Jacob Bradley.
Yeah, DeWeese not letting go of hopes for the lead. He wants to go. He knows he has to, Chris. He's got to lead laps, and he's got to lead as many as possible after leading the most last week. Looking to do the same thing, but you got to get to the front and get to it early. Right now, Jacob Bradley's going to have something to say about that on that outside line. It allows his teammate at Payday Racing, Randy Bechtel, to draw a bead to the back bumper. He's to the outside of Braxton DeWeese now, Chris, as we enter almost a 3-wide fight for the lead as they exit turn 1 and dash down this long back straightaway here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Scotty Sobczak, a distant memory in the rear view of Randy Bechtel right now in 4th position with Rye Jones coasting around 5th, but you're starting to see different lines develop here, Chris. Drivers having different strategies about where they're placing their cars on the track.
Yeah, they are. And you know, we're watching Bechtel and DeWeese, Aaron Smith's two biggest championship rivals, right up here at the front of this thing. We're going to keep our eyes on that yellow number 70 back behind them as, man, look at this racing up here at the front of the field. Oh,
this
DeWeese
is
loose.
Absolutely insane. DeWeese, as you mentioned, Chris, loose on the outside. Scotty Sobczak to his outside. To the right, a little bit loose as well. And these cars, you can tell they're starting to get a little bit upset in terms of how they're handling as the tires get a little bit more worse for wear here. Now on lap 20 of 114, we're caution free in the Apex Energy 175. Braxton DeWeese trying to fight for 4th position. You can see that number 5 not as fast as it was earlier in the first segment of this race. Rye Jones works his way about around the outside. Justin Wilson looks to do the same, but Braxton DeWeese gets forceful with that block for 4th position, Chris. 5th position, I should say.
This is awesome racing here. I'm loving what we're seeing here. You know, these guys are able to sort of run all over the track. Starting to see a lot of guys move up to the top, guys that were running down low before. And I think that these cars are just pushing. I think that they're just getting really, really tight. And so I'm really glad that we've been green for as long as we have right here because, you know, I know that there might have been some worries in the pre-race, you know, if they were going to have enough tires to make it through tonight. And I think, you know, getting a long green flag run to start us out right here will be, you know, very beneficial to that.
3 wide for the 4th position. Rye Jones, that first car in line, the 91. He gets a little bit of a wiggle with a hit from Braxton DeWeese. Just a little bit of contact from the 5 there. DeWeese showing that he is not deferring to anyone here. 2nd in points. He needs every position he can get. And while we mentioned that championship battle, Chris, Aaron Smith, you can see the bright number 70, that yellow car, lurking in the background. Slowly but surely, Smith is trying to work his way back up after falling all the way back to 14th. After starting 14th, he's working his way up to the 8th position so far. A little bit of a connection issue, Chris, for that 70 right now. Something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, we've seen that a few times. Saw it on the pace laps from Aaron Smith and seen it a few times here under green as well. But riding on board right here with Justin Wilson, you're seeing these guys side by side in front of them. Justin Wilson running lower than almost anybody else on the track here. Yeah,
and that might be a good strategy, Chris, because Jacob Bradley, who was the leader, I was just about to ask you, how comfortable are you? How close are you getting to the wall if you're here? How comfortable in terms of distance to the wall? Jacob Bradley had gone up almost touching the wall, and he had been getting some big runs, but he eventually made contact with the wall, and we saw him have to give up the lead due to a little bit of contact with the wall there. Rye Jones kind of following a similar line. You can see less than a foot away from the wall as these cars begin to push up the track a little bit.
Yeah, you know, in some of the cars, I don't know how much it is in this one, but, you know, they've added sort of like that little bit of that wall cushion, you know, the closer that you get to it. They've sort of added that physics recently into the sim. I don't really know how beneficial it is because I'm just not very good at running up there. But, you know, if I'm a championship contender, yeah, I'm probably not as willing to, you know, cut it as closely as maybe somebody like Jacob Bradley, Jacob Bradley's just here to win the race. He's not here to, you know, he's not battling for points or anything like that. But, man, what I'm seeing right here, just the attitudes of some of the cars, I see them get a little bit loose there on corner exit, but I think that they are just really, really pushing in the center of the corner, especially down here in 3 and 4. I'm seeing a lot of the sort of like can't quite make it to the bottom of the track, like some of the guys that want to run down low, like it takes them a long time to get there, and that just speaks to a real tight condition.
Speaking of one of the cars running low, I want to ride on board 17th place Chase Berry, who's making his way up through the field. He's finding some speed in the last couple of laps on that bottom portion of the track, Chris. I'm curious if we can get a lap around as he works his way, or tries to work his way by James Danforth and see what it's like inside that number 46 and how he's handling the tight conditions.
Yeah, here he is inside of James Danforth right here. Both these guys started deep in the field, did not take qualifying laps. Got Brandon Ayers in front of them. Brandon Ayers saw him a little bit further up, so he might be struggling a little bit. Oh, yeah, you see Danforth don't know if that's that might have been a tight condition right there on the 88 Ford.
Pieper's to the outside of Barry now, so Barry's got to be careful.
Yeah, and you know, Patrick Pieper is another guy. I'm sorry, no, that's I think that's actually Alex Harper.
Alex Harper. My apologies.
Yeah, both the Costco cars, very similar paint schemes.
High, wide, and handsome, and a lot of wiggling there for the 10, the 88, and the 46, Chris. That was near disaster just momentarily on lap 28 of 114 in turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, it was, and you know, see James Danforth. I think he's got out of the throttle a little bit there off turn 4, and Chase Berry's going to go right on by him. I'm going to give you a little bit of an update right here on our points leader, Aaron Smith. Here he is right here. He's sort of like at the back of this sort of 10-car train. There's like 10 cars and a little bit of separation before you get back to Johnny Rapp in 11th. He's lost a couple more spots here in the last few laps, so going to be watching Aaron, seeing how sort of his pace progresses throughout the night, if he's able to, make his way past these guys, or if he's also struggling with that tight condition that seems like everybody else is too.
Yeah, I think if I was the number 70, as we watch another connection issue, Chris, we might have issues for the 70 here if he continues to drop the connection. I saw last time by his lap did not count because of that drop connection. So certainly trouble early, it would appear, for Aaron Smith in that number 70, your points leader, really struggling right now on the track, but also a little bit of technical difficulties. Chris, just a quick points calculation for Randy Bechtel, who has scored currently as your leader and has led the last 10 laps or so. Bechtel would be within 6 points of the championship lead right now on Aaron Smith if the race were to finish as is on track currently, with Bechtel scored first, Aaron Smith scored second. Sure, maybe we shouldn't make such a big deal about that, but with 2 races remaining, every single story on the track is going to matter here. And Randy Bechtel, I mentioned him as your leader, but he's got Bradley Sobczak, DeWeese, and Justin Wilson, along with Rye Jones. Several cars, Chris, still in tow here. The top 8 are within 1 second of each other. We're 32 laps into this run now, what we expect about the halfway point of the fuel mileage run, and these cars are still on top of each other. You see how powerful that high line is right now. Scotty Sobczak's going to get dominated as he runs that inside, loses about 2 positions there to DeWeese and Wilson.
Yeah, and that's just, the nature of this rules package, this car on a 1.5-mile track. Atlanta is a little bit different than maybe like, Charlotte and Michigan and some of the other ones. And, we've seen some crazy racing in this car on 1.5 miles. I think that you won't see it as crazy tonight. This is still pretty intense up here at the front, but what you're starting to see is some drivers, sort of lose a little bit of touch with the car in front of them, and that's just, the tires giving up, them wearing out. And so, a guy that I think is looking really good right now, probably the best looking car on track right here, is Justin Wilson. The way he's able to cut to the bottom in turns 3 and 4, that car is really hooked up down there. I think he's going to see what he does down here. Yeah, he's up high. So this is sort of like the, the mentality that I like to have here. If the race is progressing like the way it is here, the top of 1 and 2 always has felt a little bit more comfortable to me, and then the bottom of 3 and 4, if you're able to get your car working down there, you can really gain a lot of time on some of the guys.
Oh, contact, it looks like. Sorry to interrupt, Cardulo in the number 92 of Josh Ward. Going to try to go back and find out what happened here, Chris, because that was almost your first caution of the evening. Oh, man, Chris, heavy contact down the back straightaway. It looked like the number 92 of Ward kind of came down into the number 19 of Cardula.
Oh, yeah, he did. I don't know. Yeah, he got loose there. Prior to that there, we went back a little bit to see if we could see a little bit more. Yeah, he got loose there. And that was really good.
So here's I think we can jump back to lap 33 down the backstretch, Chris, to figure out what happened. Ward was on the inside, lost momentum, tried to fill the space between the 91 and the 19, and the 19 really wasn't willing to give up that space here on lap 33, and got Josh Ward a little bit pegged in the back there. And I think Ward wasn't happy about that, and if I had to guess, maybe that was a bit of show of displeasure the next time by on the back straightaway.
Gotcha, understood. And yeah, sometimes frustrations can boil over right there, but hopefully those guys will get that all sorted out right there. And
Oh, so close. Sorry to interrupt one more time. Up in the front, Chris Braxton Deweese was into the back bumper of the 50, and now he looks to channel that momentum into a pass for the lead. But Chris, the inside just is has nothing for the outside line. The runs those cars are getting off the corners.
yeah, that's yeah, it's pretty crazy up here right now. And oh, really close right there between Deweese and Sobzak. They're going to get away with it though. And yeah, you just have to be really smart about how you're going to pass people tonight, because you can see if you cannot complete the pass on a driver, you run the risk of possibly getting yourself freight trained and losing one or two more spots. I mean, that just, you know, we've heard drivers talk about maybe how frustrating the style of racing is with these cars all season, and that's just, you know, that's kind of, you know, one of the things that you got to keep in mind with it.
It's putting on a great race right now here at Atlanta. 38 laps of 114 in the books for the Apex Energy 175, race number 7 of 8 for the Apex Energy Summer Series presented by Boone CDJR. Chris, we need to step away for a quick break to hear from our main partners, Apex Energy and Boone CDJR, and we will be back right on the other end of that 60-second break.
Guys, it's Josh Ward with Ram Commercial, and this season we're partnering with Slingshot Racing League to make sure our members can get wholesale manufacturer pricing on any Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram you choose. Whether you're just looking for a vehicle for your family or for your business, we've got you covered. Contact me directly to see how we can help.
All right, back here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Race number 7 of 8 on the schedule for Slingshot Racing League in the Summer Series. Battle for 10th place is heating up. Johnny Rapp, Landon Cardulo, Sam Stoner, and Sean Johnson right behind, 2 wide. Couldn't slide a sheet of paper in between the number 65 and the 32. They are racing tooth and nail down the back straightaway right now, Chris. You would imagine this is a battle for the lead, but it's really a battle all the way up to 9th. Is where Josh Ward currently is, and I'm curious to keep an eye on this battle, Chris, because the 92 and the 19 have some history just about 10 laps ago. Right now, we're going to see if they're going to race each other clean, headed down into turn 1. Cardulo, that red and white car to the inside. James Danforth off the track right behind them, gathers it back up. The 19 and the 92 side by side on the exit of turn number 2. Ward gets the better end of that exchange, but Cardulo tucks back in. Looks like he's going to wait for at least another corner to make a move, but it's going to take away momentum from Johnny Rapp and opens the door for the number 46 of Chase Berry, the winner from just 2 weeks ago at Talladega. Berry seemingly gained race-winning form the past couple of weeks, and we've seen a lot of speed, Chris. He's up 9 positions, that driver out of Florida in the 46. He is on a rail right now, shooting to the inside of Landon Cardulo. Berry going up to the 10th position.
Yeah, Barry has been holding on to his tires. He has been taking care of them, and you can really see it. Just like Justin Wilson's doing up at the front of the field, Barry right here, about midfield, he's showing what, you know, the difference between taking care of your tires.
Cardulo
right
in the wall. Be careful. He's going to almost came down on 32 of Johnson, trying to get out of the way, stand up to the top of the track. Sorry to interrupt, Chris, but we almost had the first caution of the evening there on lap number 45 of 114.
And here comes Chase Berry to the inside of Josh Ward. And look how he's able to roll the bottom. You know, while all the other drivers around him have migrated up towards the top because their cars are pushing, Chase Berry is still wrapping that white line. all the way around the track, and man, he's really got that thing hooked up. Look at him, it's his center of the corner speed. Oh, they're going to come close.
Almost contact between the 92 and the 46. Ward and Barry, we stay under green, but Barry's going to pay the bigger price there. Looks like Ward's going to lose momentum as Sean Johnson rockets by in that Moon Pie number 32. Johnson, Chris, hasn't had a great season. Was talking to him during the pre-race. He said, man, I would just love to finish a race, and boy, he's got to be getting nervous now sitting at 11th in the middle of this hornet's nest.
Yeah, yes, he just wants to have a good, solid finish tonight, make it to the end. I think Josh Ward, I was about to say, I think he's holding these guys up. I don't know how much he's really holding them up, because I think that they're all kind of running pretty close to the same speed. You're just seeing a big separation between, this pack of cars and the other ones. But, yeah, maybe if Chase Berry's able to get around him, maybe he can do something to, work to, chase his lead pack down. This lead pack, though, racing is still pretty hot and heavy up here as well. Randy Bechtel has actually a little bit of, some breathing room on second place between Bradley and Sobczak.
That's something we really haven't seen the leader have all night long for the first 46 laps of the race. But you're right, Randy Bechtel out to about a 10 to 12 car length lead, Chris. The battle heats up for second place down into turns 1 and 2. Sobczak on the inside, Wilson in the middle of a 3-wide sandwich with Bradley to the outside down the backstretch. Sobczak tries to close the door. It gets Bradley loose, almost making contact with the 58 of Wilson to the inside. Last week's race winner from New Hampshire, Wilson stays in the throttle, trying to edge up to the back of the number 81 right now. These cars are on top of each other. Jones collides with the wall off of turn 4. Big hit for Jones. He's going to lose at least one position to Aaron Smith, who moves up to 6th with that pass.
Yeah, and Justin Wilson had a run on Scotty Sobczak. We were riding on board Scotty Sobczak. Scotty was doing a nice job of placing his car in a... I'm going short of calling it blocking. I think he was just trying to place his car in a difficult spot where Justin Wilson really couldn't make the, utilize the momentum that he had right there, as these guys are going to make their way around the lap car of Richard Hurst.
Chris, I don't really think... Patrick Pieper. Actually, Harper and Pieper are going to be the first cars to pit road. Lap number 50, Chris, the 10 and the 15 come down pit road. They're going to be the first cars to come down. This does look like it is a scheduled stop for the Sam's Club. They're going to hate that I said that.
No.
The Comco team. The 15 and 10, Sam Stoner's going to come with him down pit road on lap 50. Chris, does this begin to force the hand or at least get the leaders in the top 10 thinking about that first pit stop of the evening?
No, I don't think so right now. I think that, you're going to, if you're up here, Randy Bechtel sitting comfortably up here at this point, I think you want to go about another 5 or 6 laps at least. Because that would put you in position to look to split this race in half. I want to try to get to that point. Because you're not guaranteed a caution in this thing. Our drivers are doing a real nice job tonight. We've seen a rash of cautions all season long, but this is by far, I don't want to jinx it, but this has by far been one of the better runs that we've had all season long.
Chris, I wasn't going to say it, but what that means is this race is going to at least seemingly go by faster, which means you have less time to get that comment into the chat to be one of the entries into the giveaway for the Chase Elliott Kelly Blue Book diecast giveaway that we're going to be doing at the end of the race. So if you're watching and you're a little bit shy, that's okay. Just say hi in the chat. We don't have to pull you in for an interview or anything, but let us know you're here. Let us know what driver are you rooting for right now in the chat. People really excited by the 92 and the 19 battle. We got some Richard Hurst fans that you had mentioned just a minute ago. Richard's had some speed tonight. Doesn't look like it's his night on the track, though. He's sitting in 23rd position. Braxton, are we slowly beginning to slide through the field? Actually, that is Brandon Ayers, and that number 16's on fresh tires, I believe. We're starting to see, Chris, one of the more dangerous points in the race where drivers are kind of on different strategies. Some are on fresh tires, feeling like Superman flying through the field. Others are just trying to go a few more laps. What challenges does that present from a driver's standpoint?
You just got to be heads up. You got to be aware of, just your surroundings, basically. And, if you're a driver on fresh tires, it means that sometimes you just got to be patient. You got to be patient. Try to use a little bit of discretion at times. Maybe not take every single run that you have. And if you're on older tires, like our leaders are right here, that just means that you got to be looking in your mirrors to expect these guys. Brandon Ayers, I want to mention him real quick. He is on 13 laps, it looks like. So I think that Brandon Ayers has the idea of splitting this race into 3 stints. I don't know if that's going to work out for him. I think that he might have to have some help as far as the cautions go for that to, be a big benefit for him. But, yeah, it seems like that's his strategy here as it's like Scotty Sobczak is reeling in Randy Bechtel here in these last few laps.
Yeah, these last couple of laps, Sobczak has had about 3.5 tenths of a second faster laps than Randy Bechtel. He is closing the gap every single time by, Chris. That 81 has found some legs in the final portion of this first half of the race. We've seen Sobczak run some heaters for qualifying, but he really hasn't been in victory lane for at least a couple of seasons. He's a fast driver, one of our fastest. I know he sees that lead and he wants to get to it as soon as possible. That driver out of California, Chris, it's a little bit earlier for him. I still think those West Coast drivers, I think they have a bit of an advantage and having a little bit fresher hands and feet this time of the day, being a little bit early over there right now, 6 o'clock, just a little bit after for Sobczak.
Yeah, and, this is something to keep in mind for Scotty as this race goes on right here. Seemingly, if it does go green, Scotty looks like he's got a good bit of speed, so maybe he can, think about where he might be at this point in the run, maybe on this second stint right here if we go green. If he's sitting in a really good, decent position as far as track position, maybe he can, punch it a little bit sooner than what he's done right now. But back behind them, the guy who is our points leader, Aaron Smith, he's really fast right now. He's gotten around Braxton DeWeese. He's gotten around Jacob Bradley. He's up to the 4th spot, fighting some connection issues. But here he is, making up ground on the leaders as we got a battle for the lead.
Battle for the lead indeed. Headed off down into turn 1. Sobczak turns that nose to the left. He's going to get back into the throttle and hope it sticks. The 81 gets to the lead into the back straightaway. Sobczak to P1. Bechtel going to go back to second place after leading the last 40-plus laps or so. Bechtel not giving up, though. He turns that car to the right, to the outside. No going for the 51. He's going to lose at least 4 car lengths on the lead as they come back down to the front stretch. Sobczak's going to lead that lap. Number 57, Sobczak, now on 59, I should say.
Yeah, he's and right now we're at the point, and we've got some drivers on pit road. Braxton DeWeese is on pit road.
DeWeese on pit road, Harper on pit road, several cars down pit road.
Jacob Bradley.
Harper. Bradley down pit road, front runners inside your top 5 or 6. Coming down, Chris, they're looking like they're splitting this race right in half. That tells me that they think we're going to have a green flag run for the better part of this race. They feel comfortable coming down on lap number 59. Nick DeCesare also going to come down. But DeWeese, you mentioned it. He's one of the cars we're keeping an eye on here. Sobczak still in the lead. Randy Bechtel in second. That's Bechtel about 4 car lengths behind Sobczak as they work their way by Patrick Pieper.
Yeah, and if you're Randy Bechtel, I think that this first stint's probably been a good test in a way. He's been pretty dominant this whole first stint, but here in like the last little bit, we saw him pull away right there. Maybe he pushed a little bit too much. It's just so hard to know sometimes, compared to everybody else, how hard you actually are pushing. So, man, see him right here. He's making another charge at Sobczak. So the difference in tires, I don't think it's that huge between them. I think they're pretty even.
Yeah, both have done a really respectable job of saving the tires. And speaking of that, Chris, Aaron Smith now up to third, getting closer to the front. That was one of the questions I was kind of proposing earlier was how far can you get back or slide back through the field by saving tires until it becomes a detriment of getting back up through the field. And I think Aaron's kind of answered that question for us. He was as far back as 10th position, yet he's now going to be within a lap or two, Chris, battling for the lead, pending a set of green flag pit stops for the top 3. So I think you have your answer. Aaron Smith not as in a bad shape as we thought he was earlier, despite still the connection issues continue to plague that number 70. We see Randy Bechtel on the brakes to come down pit road. Paul Thomas there right with him. Is that going to pose a challenge?
Sideways.
Thomas sideways. We're still going to be green here unless we're going to see if he can get it turned around. If he can get it in reverse, Josh Ward coming down pit road as well. Hopefully that doesn't put us under caution. You can see, Chris, Pit road, really tricky situation for a lot of drivers. I suspect Thomas probably had a little bit too much rear brake, or not enough rear brake, or too much rear brake dialed into it. How close was he to Randy Bechtel? I think that's the biggest question here.
Yeah, we're going to go back and we're actually going to watch, and I think that Thomas was coming to pit road the same lap Randy Bechtel was, and I think that it kind of messed Randy up a little bit right here because I think that Thomas was initially trying to get out of the way here, and then they're coming to pit road the same lap, and it looks like Bechtel's wanting to carry a little bit more speed to pit road than Thomas is, and yeah, I think that just got a little bit loose. And, sometimes these transitions from the racetrack to the apron, they will upset the cars, and I think that's kind of what happened to the 40 car, but nosed it into the inside wall. I don't think it's going to be end of the night for him at all.
No, I'm reminded of me in traffic. When you get behind that car that's just going a little bit, they might be going right around the speed limit, maybe a little bit under, but you want to get by them. I would imagine that was the feeling that Randy Bechtel was probably having there, Chris. Race controller update, the number 50 of Jacob Bradley caught speeding on pit road that time. So one of the top 3-4 cars all night long, Chris, is going to be to the back after he has to make a trip back down pit road to pay the price.
I think he's already, if he sped down pit road, he's already served his penalty in the pit box.
He's back to 20th with that.
Yep, and so he
Leader
is
on pit road.
So
Leader Justin Wilson on pit road for the first time tonight.
It's very, very unfortunate for Bradley, as you mentioned, he had top 5 speed all night. We'll see how Justin Wilson shakes out right here. I think that once all this plays out, I think the leader is possibly going to be maybe Patrick Pieper in the 15. He and Brandon Ayers came to pit road quite a bit earlier than some of these other drivers. Here's Aaron Smith, you saw right there, making his pit stop as well. Patrick Pieper is going to be the race leader, and he is going to have a pretty decent lead over Brandon Ayers, about 1.5 seconds, and he's got fresher tires than Ayers too, so I don't think Brandon Ayers can do anything to chase him down. I think that the driver who might be able to is Rye Jones right here, taking the second spot. Jones has only, we'll go ahead and show you the stint numbers right here.
11 laps, so he came in even more recently than Patrick Pieper. So that number 91 sitting in a pretty good position with kind of that short pitting strategy a little bit to try to gap or jump some of the leaders, and right now it's working. What I will say is that's 49 laps to left what we believe is the fuel window, 49 roughly. That would put us on lap 116, Chris, just 2 past the checkered flag for Rye Jones. So I would imagine he might be good to the green here if this thing does go green and these drivers end up being forced to stay out without a pit stop during the caution flag.
Yeah, and Bryson DeWeese right here, just 9 laps on his tires. I think he's sitting in a really good spot right here. I think Randy Bechtel in 8th with 5 laps on his tires. Scotty Sobczak, those guys are also sitting in a good spot. Somebody who I don't think is sitting in the best spot after that round of pit stops right there is this guy right here, Aaron Smith.
Fritz, he missed pit road.
Oh,
he missed pit road on lap 64. He attempted to come in. I'm watching it right now if you want to try to queue up the replay as well. He's on the inside, hitting the brakes, tries to come down, and he just can't get it woed up. It doesn't look like. Misses the commitment cone, Chris. He had to go all the way through the grass to get back onto pit road. In fact, he stayed in the grass rather than take an unsafe pit entry.
Oh, yeah, that's smart.
And that is a smart heads-up move, but it doesn't change the fact that he lost at least 20-plus seconds, and he's back in 18th position, Chris. I hate to pull up the cliche line, but that has major championship implications.
Yeah.
18th position for Aaron Smith, and if we go green the rest of the way, he might be the king of saving tires, but there's no way if this thing were to go green, he's going to get back up to the lead where his second place challenger in the points, Braxton DeWeese, now resides. New leader, Chris, to the point. DeWeese was able to get past Rye Jones just a couple of laps ago and assume the lead, and he's out to a now 15 car length lead, about half a second up on Rye Jones, and Patrick Pieper back in 3rd with Brandon Ayers in 4th, and the aforementioned Randy Bechtel, who's been one of the dominant cars this race, in 5th position, but he's on 7, actually I'm looking at 8 lap old tires. He's got the freshest tires of the top 5 right now, Randy Bechtel does. But Braxton DeWeese, Chris, we saw this, another similar situation last week where DeWeese had older tires, but he had a pretty good lead, and Justin Wilson was chasing them down in the closing lap. So this has got to be deja vu for driver number 5, second place in points, Braxton DeWeese. He's got a job ahead of him to hold off the rest of the field if we stay under green flag conditions, as we have been for the first 72 laps of 114 tonight. Braxton DeWeese is your leader.
I'll just go ahead and tell you right now, based upon the lap times that I'm seeing right here, I don't think that there's any chance that Braxton will be able to hold them off. I mean, it's just too big a speed gap between some of these guys who came a little bit later in him. Braxton's doing a great job, and he's a great driver. I'm not taking anything away from him, but I just don't think he can do it. Now, if we get a caution, he's going to look like a total genius right here, because not only has he gotten the lead, but he has gained track position to jump these guys, and he's going to be sitting in a really good spot. So Braxton's brought it up. This season has been a little bit Russian roulette. It's been a big roll of the dice. So it's going to be hard for him. Just look at the speeds right there. You can see on the scoring ticker, DeWeese that time of 32.557, whereas Bechtel and Sobczak running 32 flats. If you just do the math, these guys are sitting 3.5 to 4 seconds back. I don't think there's any way that DeWeese can hold them off.
Well, yeah, the chat seems to agree, as I know we've got some DeWeese fans in the chat right now. I know Chris DeWeese rooting on his son, Braxton trying to gain as many points. But, Chris, even if Braxton can walk away with a top 3 finish tonight, if Aaron Smith still finishes outside the top 15, that's got to be almost like a win if you're Braxton DeWeese right now. So let us know in the chat. Hey, 2 questions. Let us know with an answer. You can win a free Chase Elliott diecast tonight. Do you think we're going to make it to the end of the race, 114 laps without a caution? First 75 have been green. Second, you can answer this one as well. Who do you think's going to win this race? We got Dawn Hilbrunds. I know she's an Aaron Smith fan through and through. She is here rooting on that number 70, your championship leader. But right now, it's all Braxton DeWeese setting sail on the field, but he's going to have some stiff competition here in the next couple of laps, Chris, because Randy Bechtel, as you mentioned, is running some heaters in the 4th position, slowly gaining on DeWeese, Jones, and Pieper. I want to take a second, though. Can we go back to the 22nd position, Chris? I talked to Steve Vest in the pre-race. He said, you guys only show me when I'm getting past. Well, right now, Steve Vest looks like he might be getting ready to try to make a pass on a couple of cars in that number 6 Martin paint scheme. I know that's one of your favorite paint schemes as we watch the 6 running a clean line here. Hopefully we don't put the commentator's curse on him, but you can see keeping in tow with the 19 of Landon Cardulo. I think the number 6 might have a little bit fresher tires, but running a good, clean race right now, Chris. Before that set of pit stops, he had worked his way into the top 16 in that number 6 car. So Steve Vest, that driver out of Decatur, Alabama, having a good run tonight. Chris, where do you rank that Valvoline paint scheme in terms of your favorite Martin Valvoline schemes? As we watch the Cardulo 19 and the 92 of Ward almost come together again, and they are, you can feel the animosity through the screen right now as we talk about that number 6 car, Steve Vest.
Yeah, that is intense. To rank that paint scheme, I think that was probably the time I really became a NASCAR fan, was that paint scheme, that Valvoline one. So I would say it's probably right up there near the top, maybe second behind like that Thunderbird 97 Valvoline paint scheme. I think that was really hard to beat.
I would agree with you there. And there's something about the Thunderbird lines on that Ford body that just made that scheme just scream even more. And speaking of screaming, guys, that is a hot race going on out ahead of them. A couple of cars a lap down as we watch Brandon Ayers charge through into the 19th position by Richard Hurst. But Chris, Chase Berry and Josh Ward, they're racing for the 12th position right now. And that's been a hot part of the track all night long. This battle for 10th through 14th or so. Chase Berry draws up to the back bumper of Josh Ward. We mentioned Chase Berry won at Talladega a couple of weeks ago, but we've seen a lot of speed, especially as the runs go on tonight for driver 46 out of Florida, trying to get by that Boone CDJR car right now for 12th place.
Yeah, and he's going to go around Josh Ward right here and going to move around him. Yeah, the long run pace Chase Berry's got tonight is really impressive. This thing goes green to the end. I think he's going to be sitting in a pretty good spot up there near the top 5. Going to do a quick little check-in right here with some of our guys chasing down Braxton DeWeese. You can see it on the scoring ticker right here. Here's DeWeese coming off of turn 2, right behind Derek Fike. See Rye Jones right there in that purple number 91, and there's Randy Bechtel getting closer and closer. The battle forecast says that Bechtel that time half a second quicker than Rye Jones. So
is out on the track right now. This changes everything. And Chris, I believe this might have been for Chase Berry, or that might have been Sam Stoner. Not sure what happened here. Let's see if we can get a good look.
Yeah, we'll go back, see if we can possibly see what happened to Sam Stoner. Man, we had such a good run there. Oh, yeah, right in front of the field.
That's almost like he's got a flat tire or something.
Well, it looks like to me Alex Harper had trouble. Oh, man, yeah, what in the world is this going on with Alex Harper? Let's see how many laps Alex Harper has right here on his tires.
And that's going to take out several cars. Yeah, that's he just kind of slid up in front.
Almost like he's trying to slide job him and stops right there in front of him.
Yeah, I don't think the 65 is probably going to be happy about that move. And again, we are not inside the race car, so we don't know what's always going on. But if the 65, okay, to be fair, the 65 was already struggling a little bit. You could see him wiggling down the front straightaway, and I think if I'm in the mind of Alex Harper in that 10, I'm like, oh boy, this 65 is having trouble. I want to get by, and he just kind of got the cart in front of the horse a little bit. I think might have been what happened there.
Yeah, you see some damage to the right rear here. Let's ride it on board with Alex Harper right here to see what transpired here, and just sort of like listen to his throttle if we can. Oh yeah, Sam Stoner's in trouble there, sideways. Yeah. Oh, he just way overdrove it. And then he downshifted. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
I wonder if he downshifted it thinking he would be able to use that brake a little bit more effectively, and it didn't play out that way on track regardless.
You can see what's happened right here. Oh, yeah, Sam Stoner had all kinds of trouble right there, and yeah, it looks like he was battling with Justin Wilson, and he was, that's just...
I think if you're Alex Harper, you're like, man, I got to get the hell out of Dodge here and try to get by the 65, which is looking like they're having issues and might wreck. And like I said, you just kind of got the cart out in front of the horse a little bit there as he entered the corner just a little bit too fast.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate for a lot of the guys behind them, as you saw Chase Berry, Steve Vest caught up in that. Unfortunate Sean Johnson. Those guys were all innocent victims there. In that miss.
Yeah, it's interesting, Chris. I'm seeing an interesting strategy. Braxton DeWeese staying out.
No,
looks like Rye Jones staying out as well. Or did they already come in? They already came in. Sorry about that.
Yeah, everybody's made their pit stop. So we talked about Braxton DeWeese looking like a genius, and he does. I was writing him off there if this thing stayed green, but we mentioned if the caution came out that he was going to gain track position, and he has. He did lose the lead to Rye Jones there on pit road, but he has gained overall track position.
Yeah, this is going to reset the running order with just about 30 laps to go. Chris Connor Lines in the chat. He mentioned this is the longest green flag run we've seen all season. He thinks there's going to be at least one more caution before this thing is over. Hopefully you're wrong, Connor, but you never know. The saying that Darrell Waltrip always said, cautions breed cautions. And hey, while we're running around under caution, we're going to jump away for just a moment to hear from a couple more of our partners before we come back under green flag conditions. You're not going to miss a minute of racing. We'll be back in a second. We're going to hear from UD Awards and Martin Sports. Tired of generic trophies that gather dust? UD Awards creates custom trophies that become the highlight of your league ceremony. We worked with them to design these stunning pieces, from brainstorming ideas to holding the finished product. Don't worry, if you're not the artistic type, UD Awards has a massive catalog of unique designs and all sorts of materials, from classic wood to sleek acrylic or dramatic metal. And the best part? They're surprisingly affordable. Don't settle for ordinary. Make your next award ceremony extraordinary with UD Awards. All right, back here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, 29 laps left. The field works its way around its final pace lap down the back straightaway. Caution just a moment ago put us under yellow for the first time today, but it resets the running order, and the guy who benefited from it most, Rye Jones and Braxton DeWeese, they had been in early on older tires, but now they get a chance to reset to be on the same tire strategy as drivers by the likes of Scotty Sobczak, Bechtel, Aaron Smith, Chase Berry, and it's going to be Jones on the inside who's going to lead him down to the green flag pace car, getting ready to pull off for our first restart of the day in the Apex Energy 175. Jones mashes the throttle right at the end of that restart segment. It's going to be Scotty Sobczak underneath DeWeese. That outside line, Chris, really struggling to get going so far. DeWeese going to try to mash that throttle, stay to the right of Scotty Sobczak and get a run off the corner to take back second here. Looks like he's successful in that endeavor. He's going to draw a beat on the back of 91, Rye Jones. Will he take the move to the inside? The 5 looks to the inside. Jones closes the door. It's going to force DeWeese to lay back and wait at least another lap till he tries to make a pass for the lead once again as they cross the line on lap 87 of 114.
Battle for third right here between, as Bechtel and Sobczak get really close together on entry to turn 1. How about James Danforth right here in the 6th spot as Justin Wilson slides up in front of him. Danforth gained a lot of ground here.
Yeah, Danforth up 15 positions from the starting spot tonight on lap 1. Danforth, a hard charger, trying to lock up. He's loose, though. Danforth
hang
down
on to
the
it, James.
pit road entry. He's not going to hit the grass. He gets it back under control. Masterful hands by James Danforth, but he's going to lose a lot of spots. But right now, Braxton DeWeese to the outside of Rye Jones. Battle for the lead ensues down the backstretch. It's all DeWeese. Jones is going to lose a couple of positions down the backstretch.
Yeah, this is the frustration with this car right here as they got lined up on the top right there and started freight training Rye Jones. Sobczak pulls up on the rear bumper of DeWeese. As Bechtel's in the wall off of 4.
This is the wall that Interstate Batteries going to have a little bit extra white paint on the side, and it's not the type that Bechtel wants. He continues to charge on that outside line, but right now it's all Braxton DeWeese. Bechtel's got his hands full with Rye Jones to the inside down the back straightaway.
Yeah, here comes Bechtel with a little bit of a arrow push right here from Justin Wilson. I think that Justin Wilson's a driver that wanted to see that thing go green to the end as well, but he is getting up on the wheel right here, seeing a little bit more life in that 58 car at the beginning of this run because he knows he can't just wait around for the tires to wear out this time.
Yeah, speaking of life, there's a lively duel going on back for the 6th position, Chris, between Patrick Pieper and Josh Ward. It's Josh Ward on that outside in that red, black, and white Boone CDJR machine. Pieper to the inside in the Costco mobile. And right now, Boone's putting on a good showing here. Josh Ward to the outside. You can see just how much of a run he's going to get off a turn 4 down that front straightaway into the dog leg. And Patrick Pieper's going to have to deal with Johnny Rapp and that Apex Energy machine right behind him down into the corner. Hey, speaking of Apex Energy, let us know right now in the chat, what flavor do you think is better, grape or Ice Bomb? Those old red, white, and blue popsicles we used to get as kids. What would be your preference, grape or Ice Bomb? Let us know in the chat. Remember, you can still win that Chase Elliott diecast. Just say hey in the chat. All comments are entered.
Yeah, and Johnny Rapp repping the grape colors tonight. You can see where the Ice Bomb drivers are running. They're marked in the blue there on the ticker and the grape in the purple, and kind of spread all throughout the field, aren't they?
They are. It's a nice mix. Chris, I'm more of a grape man, to be quite honest. I've always loved grape, and I have tasted the Apex Energy grape, and it is a great grape, one of the better grapes I've tasted in terms of beverages. So you check them out at apexenergydrink.com. Johnny Rapp putting on a good showing for Apex right now in 7th. He continues to work the inside of Josh Ward, Chris. One of the stories I want to keep an eye on, though, it's that green and white machine of Randy Bechtel. 4th place. He's really seeming struggling at this point. Not the same 51 we saw earlier in this race, it doesn't look like.
No, but I think by the time that he got to the lead was about the time that we've got left in. Is he in the wall? There's contact. Bechtel's around.
Hard into the inside wall down the back straightaway. Green flag is still on the track. We're going to see if we get a caution right now. Bechtel out of the racing line, Chris. I think we're going to stay green, pinning another incident here on the front stretch. But Chris, that might knock Randy Bechtel out of the championship hunt. And it came at the hands of his teammate, Justin Wilson. Obviously, no intent there, but let's go ahead and take a look at what happened down the back straightaway.
No intent at all. Randy Bechtel got into the wall just a little bit there off of turn 2, but it slowed his momentum, and Justin Wilson was so close to him, he couldn't miss him. He tried, and he just couldn't miss him, and he hooked him into that inside retaining wall.
It's unfortunate, major championship implications there. One of the drivers we thought might be making it a three-way race headed into Miami next week. Randy Bechtel out of the race on lap number 94 here with just 20 laps left from Atlanta. One caution so far tonight, Chris. This has been one of the most intense races this season. Certainly the cleanest one right now, despite two kind of collisions on the track. Right now, Chris, Braxton DeWeese, the driver we were worried about before that caution just 10 laps ago, he's back to the lead, and Aaron Smith, his closest championship competitor, actually the points leader, is running in 8th. So 20 laps left. The goal for DeWeese is to keep as many cars between you and Aaron Smith as you can.
Yeah, we're seeing some mentions of some technical difficulties. I'm not seeing anything on my end, but we'll keep an eye on it right here, and sorry that it is having some technical difficulties. It seems like if you reset it, maybe refresh the video, maybe that will do something. Maybe that will improve it.
Yeah, I'm seeing that on my end as well. I did refresh the browser. You might want to refresh your phone, close YouTube, open YouTube again, and it does appear to fix it, at least for the time being. Not sure what's going on there, but thanks for sticking with us. Everyone who is still around, just about 17 laps left here from Atlanta. Braxton DeWeese continuing to hold off the field. Rye Jones, Scotty Sobczak, Johnny Rapp now up to 4th, Chris. That number 52 is running some of the fastest laps on the track right now. In fact, that time by Johnny Rapp had the fastest time in the top 10, Chris. That 52 is on a charge. Looking to put Apex Energy in victory lane tonight.
Yeah, he's moving, and he was being very aggressive earlier. I saw him getting really close to a few other drivers, and he is really moving up through the field, and it's go time for Johnny. He's not somebody to push it unless he really has to, and now it's time to push it. Sobczak looking to the inside of Rye Jones. I don't think he's going to be able to get there.
Yeah, it's go time. Johnny Rapp trying to move into the 3rd position to the inside of that red, white, and blue Pine Mountain Auto machine. Rapp going for the 2-for-1 special here to the inside of Rye Jones, exiting turn number 2 onto the back straightaway. That 52 has rocket boosters on it, loose off the corner, though. A little bit of contact, Chris. You saw the dangers of trying to make those passes to the inside with the freight train just kind of blowing by you on the outside.
Oh, as Chase Berry got really tight, almost up into Josh Ward behind these guys. Man, and you have, like I said, you have to be very, very smart about how you decide to pass guys right here. If Scotty Sobczak can't get around Rye Jones here, he might find himself freight train down the backstretch.
Yeah, Jones to the outside, Rapp running that middle line, ducks back down to the bottom down the backstretch. Jones is going to be able to maintain that position along with Sobczak, but right now Braxton DeWeese has about a 3-car lead on Scotty Sobczak, who's also running the bottom, Chris. Different lines emerging here right now. I also want to mention, looks like Aaron Smith up to the 6th position, continuing to drop connections. Josh Ward, another rocket ship, Chris. A lot of drivers we haven't seen in the top 5 tonight rearing their heads here in the final stages. Just 13 laps left here from Atlanta. DeWeese continues to lead down the backstretch. Scotty Sobczak in 2nd, Jones in 3rd. Fastest car on the track right now, Chris, is got to be Johnny Rapp, though, getting it gathered back up after a slow lap or two. That 52 is getting back wound up, Chris. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him make a move for 2nd place here coming down into turn 1.
Yeah, here he is closing up on the rear bumper of Rye Jones in 3rd. He's going to look to the inside.
Oh! Very close call between the 52 and the 91. Bumpers locked and connected there for a moment, I believe. Johnny Rapp trying once again to get the job done, Chris, but creeping into view behind them. Car sideways. Josh Ward, the 92 down the backstretch. He gathers it back up. Aaron Smith now, Chris, into 5th position, lurking, and he can smell blood in the water on those fresh tires. Is he going to pull another rabbit out of the hat here in the closing stages? Just now, 12 laps left from Atlanta.
Yeah, I was kind of writing him off earlier, but he's proven me wrong once again. He's battling up here in the top 5, and he's got a lot of speed.
Yeah, Chris, just to apologize to our viewers right now, lots of stuttering going on in the broadcast, not sure, sounding like it might be internet related because everyone's having these issues. We do apologize. Stick with us. Try refreshing your browser or your video app, your YouTube app right now on your phone to try to see if that improves the connection at all. But unfortunately, we're limited with what we can do here in the final 10 laps of this race. Braxton DeWeese still in the lead now. Many of the drivers in the top 4 shifting to that outside line, Chris. The top 3 certainly ran the outside that time by. Close contact between Rye Jones and looks like Johnny Rapp there. Chase Berry, Chris, another car who has entered into the fray here. That number 46 is running some of the fastest laps. In fact, that time by, he was the fastest car on the track. Is he going to try to pull an upset here in the closing stages? Everyone except Johnny Rapp now wrapping the outside line. That wall, there's close as you can get, trying to get as much speed out of every corner is possible.
Yeah, and as we hear some cars getting in the wall right here. Aaron Smith all the way up on the wall right there, trying to get around Johnny Rapp right here. Oh, it's getting really tight right there off of turn 4, and I think he's going to get around Rapp coming down the front stretch here.
Yeah, that outside line just has too much momentum for Rapp in that 52 to be able to fight everyone right now. First car on the middle line, Johnny Rapp. Everyone else wrapping that outside. Chris, Aaron Smith losing a little bit of ground the last couple of laps. Doesn't quite have the speed. Maybe burned off that rubber on the tires that he had. Right now, Braxton DeWeese is your leader. Scotty Sobczak and Rye Jones, Chris, about 2 car lengths separating the top 3. Chase Berry trying to get into that top 3 and crack the top 3 for the first time tonight. He's got to pass Rye Jones if he's going to make that happen. And right now, Jones riding that same line, causing a little bit of aero tightness for the cars behind him. But here comes Scotty Sobczak. He ducks to the inside, gaining a little bit each and every lap, Chris, trying to mix it up here. It looks like Braxton DeWeese is driving in his mirror. Talk about the strategy there. If you're Braxton DeWeese, what are you most likely trying to do here if you are looking in your mirror?
I just think you want to go where Scotty Sobczak is. I think that Aaron Smith is going to find a way to squeeze between Jacob Bradley and the wall coming down the front stretch right there. What a move by the 70. I think if you're Braxton DeWeese, I think you got to go wherever Scotty Sobczak is. I think that you got to find a way to put dirty air on the nose of that 81. And with these tall rear spoilers in these Gen 6 cars, I think that just creates just a really, really big tight condition, and I think that's what he wants to do.
And he's doing a really good job of it. Tight battle between Chase Berry and Rye Jones. Chris, you mentioned this is some of the closest racing we've seen all night, and that is saying a lot. Aaron Smith to the left rear quarter panel of Rye Jones to the outside of Chase Berry, doing everything he can to try to pick up every position because, Chris, right now, we would be coming out of this race. If it were to finish right now, it would be a tie atop the standings between DeWeese and Aaron Smith headed to the finale next week at Miami. Right now, it's a 2-car breakaway. Braxton DeWeese has to love what he's seeing with Scotty Sobczak behind him. Right now, they've got about 6 car lengths back to 3rd place. Aaron Smith loose off of turn 4. It's going to allow Jones to get back to his right side. Smith, we can really see cars, Chris, struggling with handling at this point. Just 5 laps left here from Atlanta.
Yeah, riding on board right here with Rye Jones. You see Aaron Smith to his inside. He's going to have the run up off the corner right here. In front of these guys. That's close contact right there between Aaron Smith and Johnny Rapp. I think they actually did touch going into 3.
I think you're right. And let's not forget, the 70s had connection issues all night long, so a drop just like that could put those drivers in a very precarious situation. 4 laps remaining in the Apex Energy 175. The top 2 careen down into turn 1. DeWeese is your leader. He's got Scotty Sobczak less than a car length from his back bumper. Pressure is mounting for Braxton DeWeese. He's got to get a win if he's going to emerge a championship favorite next week. DeWeese has now 3.5 laps to do it. Sobczak loses about a car length that time by, Chris, but the scrum is further back in the field. Johnny Rapp trying to do everything he can, including tagging the wall to get by Rye Jones for 4th position. Aaron Smith continues to fall through the field, now back to 7th, Chris.
Yeah, I think those connection issues are really hurting the way Aaron wants to possibly race here. I think that he doesn't want to, take any unnecessary chances right here with the championship possibly being in jeopardy
As for
right
the
here.
lead, sorry to interrupt, Scotty Sobczak shows a nose to the inside of Braxton Weiss. They head down into turn number 3 for the final 3 times. Braxton Weiss comes out in the lead. Scotty Sobczak's going to have to wait. He's got 2 laps left to make that move. He loses about 3 car lengths that time by. Can he change the tide? Down into turn number 1. Both drivers assume the high line. Sobczak's not going to pick up any positions or time with that same line. He's going to have to mix it up. Braxton Weiss putting on a masterclass right now and driving from his mirror. Meanwhile, 3 wide further back, Aaron Smith, we mentioned Johnny Rapp on top of each other. It's a connection issue that puts Smith inches away from disaster. 2 laps left for Braxton Weiss as they come down the front stretch for the final of 2 times. Braxton Weiss moves into the lead. He's got about 2 car lengths on Scotty Sobczak. Sobczak trying to do anything he can at this point if he's going to make it happen.
It's going to be hard. I don't think he's going to have enough momentum here going into turn 3.
But don't count out Chase Berry, Chris. That time by, Berry was his fastest car. Johnny Rapp, is he going to gather it back up, or will we be under yellow?
Hey, the white flag's
That is
out.
going to do it. Braxton Weiss is your winner. Weiss wins at Atlanta. Cars careening down the front straightaway. Aaron Smith is going to finish 6th. Sobczak finishes 2nd. Chase Berry finishes 3rd. A wild ride for a couple of drivers across the finish line, but Braxton Weiss picks up win number 2 of the season, and that is going to put him into the points lead, Chris, if my rough non-math teacher calculations are correct.
Yeah, I think it will, as well, as he came out of here with a lot of points tonight, a lot of bonus points, and he's made this thing really interesting going into Homestead next week.
He has made it very interesting indeed. It's going to be a tight finale, but we're going to hear from the top 3 finishers. But before we do that, let's go ahead and draw a name for the diecast giveaway tonight. Let's go ahead and draw a name for the diecast giveaway, this Chase Elliott diecast. Who is going to win it? Putting these names in the random jar. Just one moment. All right. And your winner is, Chris, guess it, in what's going to be her final race watching Slingshot Racing League, at least as a league. She's going to be on vacation next week. Dawn Hilbrens is the winner of that Chase Elliott diecast. Dawn, we will be getting in touch with you. We'll be sending that your way this week as we watch Braxton Weiss celebrate that victory and celebrate closing in on the championship. And as we mentioned that, we appreciate everyone tuning in tonight and sticking with us through a few technical difficulties and maybe a little bit of an internet lag at the end, but we hope the finish was worth the wait. We're going to go ahead and pull in Chase Berry for this interview real quick. Hey, Chase Berry, this is Ellis and Chris in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got it. I got you.
Man, wild ride at the end. We thought you might have had a little something left in that tank, running some of the faster lap times, those final 3 laps of the race. Talk to us about your night. A lot of ups and downs. We noticed you were much better towards the end of a run. How'd you save tires tonight?
I just took it easy. I figured in practice I never really did a qualifying lap. I just worked on race runs, and I've always been decent on a long run because I'm so slow, and we got a great long run, and just kind of burned it up coming through the traffic. And then once everybody started pitting, and then the different strategies in the middle, I burned it up even worse. So I lost a lot of ground. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, different.
It was a different experience that we're used to seeing at this Atlanta track. Tight racing all night long, buddy. Hey, before we let you go celebrate that 3rd place finish, you got any shout-outs before we go?
Yeah, shout out to you guys for putting us on. I mean, it's been fun. And, shout out to the payday guys. Without me, they'd be running in the back. My back hurts carrying this team. I'm just kidding.
Humble guy.
Yeah, right. Justin for spotting us after they wrecked out. All the good stuff. But yeah, Justin, Johnny, Justin, Ronnie, and then Jay, or whatever his name is, Randy. Give me R's and J's. But anyway, that's about it. Thank
Hey,
you guys
man,
for
well, congratulations on the top 3 tonight. We'll see you next week at Miami. Have a great night.
Yippee.
Yes, sir. All right, so that was Chase Bear. We're going to take a second to hear from Scotty Sobzak, who's now in the booth.
Scotty Sobzak, our second place finisher tonight. This is Slingshot Booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Hey, Scotty. So we saw you there on that first stint, and a lot of close action there tonight. And we saw you making up a lot of ground there at the end of that first stint. It seemed like you really had the long run pace tonight.
Yeah, it's nice for a change. It's usually I kind of end up falling off a little bit after a few laps, but I found something there and just using the brakes a little bit. And towards the end there, I was made a couple of good moves. And if you can kind of dance away from a few people and get broken away, I felt like I had a good chance in clean air. And I was closing on Randy and got him. And then in the pit cycle, got lost and trapped behind him. And if it would have gone green the whole way, I think I was pretty sure we're going to catch everybody back up and run away a little bit. But untimely caution, it is what it is. So at least we made the best of it at the end.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I'm betting that you probably didn't want to see that caution there because it seemed like you were really making it happen there on the long run. What did you need there at the end to get around Braxton? It seemed like all night you had to be really smart about how you pass people because you might lose a couple spots trying to make a pass. What did you need to get around the 5 car?
Man, I needed probably a couple more laps or a long green flag run or something. You can defend here pretty well, and he did it was a master class in defending here for what he did. And you can pass him 1 and 2 coming off of 1 and 2, but you got to set it up in 3 and 4. And I think he must have read my mind with 2 or 3 to go because I sent it pretty hard in 3 and 4 trying to get the top line, but he was right there and there's nothing you can do. So I would have had the momentum coming off of 3 and 4 to get him in 1 and 2, but he closed the door early and that was kind of that. But once we were just me versus him towards the end, I know Rye was in there and Chase at the end too, but once it was kind of just us two, I thought I had a pretty decent shot. I could get the momentum coming off of 2 also, but just so difficult to close it out in 3 and 4. So, masterclass in defending it. But, I only needed maybe 50 more laps, so we would have been fine.
Well, hey, man, you had a great run tonight, great performance. Any shout-outs you want to give before we let you go celebrate the second-place finish?
Yeah, got to thank Apex Energy, of course, for putting on this on, the Apex Energy 175. I got to thank Butt Kicker, as well as DSS Sim Racing Hardware, and of course our sponsor here, Pine Mountain Auto Supply, and upstairs, Baby Isla, hopefully watching the stream, as well as love of my life, Alex, and Olivia as well. So appreciate everybody tuning in and watching. Thanks.
All right, that's Scotty Sobzak, our second place finisher tonight. Great run, bud.
Thank you.
All right, so you heard from Sobzak. Now it's time to hear from the winner. And actually, Braxton DeWeese, I've got news for you. You're not only the winner tonight, but you are the new points leader headed into Miami. 3 points now up on Aaron Smith for the championship lead. How does that feel to hear?
Just got to hold it together one more race. Not going to be too happy, not going to celebrate too much. It's not over. As Kobe Bryant would do, you're up 2-0. I mean, there's nothing to be happy about. It ain't finished. So we're going to, try to do the best we can next week at Homestead. And hopefully we don't have to defend as much as we did with the air. But you really got to do what you got to do with this package. And, Scotty did a hell of a job to still stay up there while getting the dirty air of mine. So props to him. He joined in the top. My engine just blew, but he joined in the top 3 waiting room, and I was like, it was a good race. And then you all dragged me in here, so I couldn't really talk to him. But it was just a hell of a race. I'm glad to be up 3 points. But like I said, just got to have one more race to close it out.
Man, you put on a great show. Scotty Sobzak gave you the props on using the air, kind of those final portion of the race to make sure you stayed up front. But it wasn't clean sailing or clear sailing for a portion of the night, Braxton. There was a point where you were kind of a sitting duck on older tires and the drivers like Randy Bechtel behind you. And then that timely caution, at least for you, came out. What were you thinking as Randy and the other drivers who were on fresher tires were closing on you, and it wasn't apparent that there was going to be another caution? How committed were you to try to stay up front, even on older tires?
Just once I pitted there, I knew that it went green that whole way, so you're thinking it's still going to go green. By the way, a hell of a run by everybody to go green that long in the slingshot. That's really awesome for everybody to do that, especially with how we were racing up there. So I'm really looking forward to go back and watching that and being able to see how it all plays out on the broadcast. So it's just I really just don't really know what else to say. I'm just kind of surprised that this happened, and Aaron was able to have the race that he was able to have. That that definitely helped me out, and able to capitalize on it was definitely something that I needed to do there. But it was all about that air. So like I said, glad I could come out with it.
Well, man, you saw the air tonight, as good as the best, like Dale Earnhardt, and you finished the job there. Hey, before we let you go, I know you've got some shout-outs. I know you're going to shout out some coffee, among other things. So go ahead and let us know who you'd like to thank and shout out tonight before we let you go celebrate in Victory Lane. Yeah,
for sure. I appreciate it. Most definitely Interstate Ford on the Ford Mustang that we have here. Big shout-out to them. They're really helping out and on my iRacing career, and hopefully they'll be helping out in the IRL career. So, really happy to be partnered with them, and really look forward to the future to work with them. Getting them wins is the best thing you can really do for them, and try to promote them as much as you can. And that's what I'm trying to do. So, big shout out to Interstate Ford, as well as Allen's Arts Images, Bennett's Publical, Jane's on Main, DeWeese Renovations, Booth 34 Diecast, Unrivaled Cinematography, Evan Pineda Designs. He was not here. We missed the Evan Pineda Pool award that he usually does every week, so that was pretty upsetting. But he's at a real racetrack, watching some real cars, so that's also pretty cool to be at an actual track. So hopefully we'll have that. Hopefully we'll have him say that to us next week at Homestead, so we can just stay out front. But and also a shout out to Bully Dog Coffee Company, like you said, the coffee. If you want to go try out some coffee, you can use Brax5 for 10% off there in the checkout, and that helps everybody out. So I appreciate him for letting me do that, and I appreciate you guys for running Slingshot in the broadcast, and hopefully we can close out the the season and the Slingshot career on a good one here with 2 wheels that I got.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to Miami next week. It's going to be a tight championship battle. Braxton DeWeese, tonight's winner at Atlanta. We'll see you next week in Miami.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Sir. Chris, man, we need a moment to catch our breath after what seemed like an entire race of just drivers on top of each other in a good way, right? It was never kind of a lull in the action over the course of the evening. Racing just ensued literally the entire time. Just one caution flag the entire race, Chris, and it came on lap number 75, I believe. Ran nearly 3/4 of the race under green flag conditions. It's a testament to just how awesome these drivers are. And man, he mentioned it. We got one Slingshot Racing League race left next week. We announced a couple of weeks ago that this was going to be the final race for Slingshot Racing League, but it won't be the final race for Slingshot Racing Media as we move forward with broadcasting other leagues and bringing you that same great live iRacing content on a weekly basis. So if you're watching, don't fret. They'll still be Chris and I will still be in the booth. Maybe some other faces here and there, but we're still going to bring you live iRacing. But this next week, Miami. It's going to be one of our tightest championship battles so far in Slingshot Racing. I can't think of a better way to send it off with a 3-point championship battle at what is, I know, your favorite track, but it's produced some pretty epic finishes and championship fights over the years. What are we expecting to see at Homestead next week?
I think that you could see probably some very similar type of racing to what you saw tonight. The tracks are different. I think that Homestead Miami is actually like how the old Atlanta was. I'm talking about the Atlanta that's older than this one that you saw here. It puts on a great show, like you said. Selfishly, that is my favorite track. Both in real life and here on the sim. Love racing there. it puts on a great show. I got some mixed emotions headed into next week. It's going to be really it's going to be a little bit of a sad day, but also, like you said, looking forward to the future and what it holds here for this channel and Slingshot Racing Media in the future.
Yeah, we've got a lot to look forward to as we close out one chapter of Slingshot Racing. It's going to be epic next week. 3 points separate the championship leaders. Braxton DeWeese now the points leader, and Aaron Smith. Homestead's going to produce some amazing racing. Tune in one last time for Slingshot Racing League next Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern Time, Chris. We've got a couple more partners to hear from that we didn't get to hear from during the live racing tonight. We'll play those on the way out. Check them all out in the video description, folks. We appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for everyone's support. Until next week, tonight from Atlanta, for Ellis Thomas and Chris Smith and Slingshot Racing, have a great night. We'll see you next week.